Get into it. We'll get into it. All right, everybody. Welcome back to The Baseline, Episode 10, Season 2. Big guest today, Ryan Turell. Thank you for coming in.
I appreciate you guys having me.
We are super excited. A little intro. We're hoping anybody who listens to the episode knows who Ryan is, but if you don't, I'll give you a chance to introduce yourself a little bit. Ryan played valedictorious from LA. We all know that came to YU, really put YU, the hoops all over the world. It was super cool for us to see. And then that took you to Detroit, where you played for the Pistons G League team, and now here to Israel. And what we want to do here on The Baseline is we kind of get guests from all over the world, whether it's Americans, Europeans, who come here to play in Israeli League. And that's our goal, really. We want to hear their stories and how they ended up where they are today. And we know that each basketball player has the most different journey, and each one is so unique. And a lot of guys never knew they would make it to play professionally. Others all the way had dreams to play in the NBA, and they ended up here. And it's just a fascinating way to really dive into each person's story. So we're lucky to have you here. Maybe give us like a few seconds, introduce yourself to some listeners who are new to you, and let's get started.
What's up, everyone? I'm Ryan Turell. I'm an Orthodox Jewish professional basketball player. I played 2 years in the G League, and this is my first year playing out in Israel. Grew up in Los Angeles, California as an Orthodox Jew, kept Shabbat, kept kosher, and took my journey to Yeshiva University, and now I'm out here.
That's amazing. We've been obviously following your journey. We were super excited when we saw you in the contract with Nestiona coming out here. Just right away, like, how are you feeling with coming back from this injury that you had? How's the mental, everything going with this season? How are you feeling?
Feeling good now. When that injury happened, it was literally in our second or first scrimmage or first game, I think, first preseason game. And, it happened in the first 2 minutes of me being in. And, all these thoughts go through your head, right? This guy landed on my knee. I felt it pop, and I was like, I got up, and I was wondering, like, maybe I'm okay. Maybe I'm okay. And I started walking down the court, and then I turned, and my knee went loose. My leg went a little loose. I was like, oh, that's not good. Like, get me out of the game. I got to check this out. And, all these thoughts go through your head in the locker room where you're like, is my season over? Like, did I literally fly out to Israel and come pursue this dream to play in Israel, and the first 2 minutes of a real game, I'm out for the season? And I was really, those thoughts were going through my head, but thank God it was only an MCL, where it was, 2-month recovery, and Nessiona and the whole staff was like really good with making sure I was 100% ready to go before I stepped on the court. Even when I felt like, yo, let me practice with the team, I feel good. I was bothering them. I was like, yo, let me go. Like, I feel like I'm ready to practice. They're like, no. You have to be 100% before you get back on. So now I'm, 100% feeling really good. Got back into the flow with the team, and, so far it's been pretty good.
That's awesome. How does Nestiona help you prepare for games rather than like Motor City or YU?
Well, I would say it's very different. In the G League, you're on the road so much that, you fly to a city, a day or two before, you're sleeping in a hotel. For me, I'm bringing my kosher food with me. You know what I mean? Like, out here, you get kosher food anywhere. But I'm bringing my kosher food with me, and then there's a lot of travel. Here, it's like you just get to sleep in your bed every day. You go back home.
Right.
So it's definitely a different aspect. And it's a different, I would say that's the main difference of, like, there's not as much travel. But it's a lot of fun, and the team, they're very, it's fun. It's a lot of fun.
So how in the G League, how were you able to kind of maintain your religiosity? Did you have your parents help you? Did anyone help you while you were doing that?
Yeah, 100%. The community in Detroit was, like, very helpful when it came down to, being able to get kosher food, making sure, there was a hotel near the gym that I can, walk to the gym on Shabbat. Sometimes it was across the street. Sometimes it was 4 miles away. So there was a spectrum of that. But Detroit really helped me out when it came to making sure I was, I felt safe. I felt okay traveling. I felt, they made sure I didn't have to travel on Shabbat. They waited till after, in the G League or the NBA, you have a game Friday night, you either leave Friday night or you leave Saturday morning. There's no, I'm chilling in the city till, Motzei Shabbat, so that's what I did. I would stay in the city till after Shabbat was over, and, I would come meet the team wherever I needed to go.
I've actually always been curious, seeing you play on Shabbat, but, like, of course, you get a hotel and whatnot. Did you ever ask, like, any rabbis or anything, like,
yeah,
how was it, like, kind of like, how would other people perceive it of you playing on Shabbat?
So I personally always grew up playing basketball on Shabbat. It's something I always did.
AAU tournaments.
But also like going to the park with my friends, or with my older brother, or playing with my dad in the front yard, right? Yeah. It's something that I always did, and so I went and I talked to rabbis about it, and I asked their opinion on it, and for them it came down to, like, do you get paid based on the game? And for me, I didn't get paid. Like, in the G League, you get a contract, you get a monthly salary, that's just what you get,
right?
And whether or not you play in the game or not, you're still getting paid. So or if you don't play, you're still getting paid. So that's kind of how it works.
Well, would have it also affected how many minutes you would have gotten in other games if you didn't play? Or would anything be affected? I
don't think it would have affected. Like, in the NBA now, you see so much, like, guys sitting out for, like, injuries or load management and stuff like that, that I don't think it would have affected it that much. Yeah.
Well, that's
or
awesome.
At all.
That's amazing. We want to get into all this. I want to do it in a little bit of a more linear sense. When you have guests on here, we bring them back. We have 30-plus-year-old guests talking about their college days. So we want to cover everything, but this is obviously a super interesting aspect. And for us, all watching you was really interested in how you kind of combined your religiosity with being on the G League team. But to take us back a little bit, I know that your dad was big into basketball. So tell us just a little bit about how he kind of maybe pushed you, maybe didn't, what the family perspective was on you starting to play ball.
Yeah, so my dad played Division I basketball at UC Santa Barbara. He's in the Beverly Hills High Hall of Fame. Averaged 20 a game in high school before they had a 3-point shot, and he was a shooter. But he's always loved basketball, and for me, how I got into it was my older brother was really into it, and he's 4 years older than me, and what they would do is they would play basketball in the front yard with all of his friends. Now, I would always come out and watch and, like, maybe shoot on the side or like wanting to get into these games. But, these guys are 4 years older, they're bigger, they're stronger. It's 4 years is not a big difference from, like 20 to 24, right? But at 9 to 5, it's crazy. You know what I mean? It's you're double the size. So, I was always wondering, like, how can I really want to play. And it's like, you can't play, you don't know how to play with these guys. You got to, you're going to get killed out there. So what I did was I learned how to shoot in our driveway. We had on the right side, it was longer, so it would be a longer, like, if you're in the paint, like, I can take a deep shot and you can't guard it, and so it was in the right corner. And what would happen is, finally somebody got injured, or they had an uneven team. Right, and they're like, all right, come on, Squirt, let's play. And what I do is on offense, I would stand in that right corner, and my brother would, like, draw the double team because he was bigger, he was taller than everybody. He would just kick it out, and I would knock down that corner three on the right side. Fast forward to YU in college ball, and even in professionally, my highest percentage shot is the right corner three, which is kind of crazy. But that's kind of how I got into the game, and fell in love with the game playing with my older brother and my dad in the front yard. And I always wanted to play at the highest level I can. You know what I mean? I didn't know where that was, obviously, at the time. But I always wanted to reach my ceiling as a basketball player. And then, my dad talked about how he played D1, and, that kind of became a goal. Like, can I do that, as I got older? Can I play Division I basketball? And my dad's like, you're not there yet, but you can, we could do everything we can in order to get you there. We can train, we can work hard, and get you in the right situations where you can, pursue that dream. So we went, we asked around, like, what's the route? Like, how do we get there? And it turns out you got to play AAU basketball if you want to play Division I basketball. At that stage, and now you have to play AAU, and we were looking around, and we got into AAU about 8th grade. And, you know, we were playing with a smaller team. Shout out Game Timers. They were awesome, coached by Colin Jamerson. He's a great coach. And then we were looking around, like, and at every AAU circuit, there was always this team called Earl Watson Elite that had a team in the championship or had, like, all D1 guys, and you see the sideline, and there's D1 coaches at all their games. And our games, we didn't have, like, we were in 7th grade. There's no D1 coaches coming to your games. But we looked at the high school, and, like, all these guys had D1 coaches at their games. We're like, okay, that's the program we need to get into if we want to play Division I basketball. Like, we got to go there. And so I tried out for that program, and I, you know, did well and got on their team. And, you know, and fast forward to about my early sophomore year, I got my first Division I offer from Cal State Northridge. And then, you know, how it works with getting offers is, like, once you get one, everybody in that conference kind of comes to your games, and, like, they want to know who you are, why they offered you, and then they'll start offering you just because they're their rivals, and then so you start picking up a few offers.
So if I could stop you real quick, when you're getting these offers, you were wearing a kippah back then in your games?
So I will say this. In high school basketball, I was. In AAU, I was very self-conscious about it. You know what I mean? In AAU, I was, you know, everybody on my team's from, like, the inner city. You know what I mean? Like, I'm the only white guy on the team. Like, it just felt like if I threw a yarmulke on, like, it just felt like I was standing out even more. Like, it just felt I wasn't comfortable enough to do that. Definitely. And something I regret as I got older and saw the importance of wearing a yarmulke and the importance of being proud to be, you know, who you are. But in high school, you want to fit in. Everybody wants to fit in. They want to, you know what I mean? They don't want to stand out like that.
Well, how'd you overcome that?
Playing at Yeshiva University when you know, people started, like, emailing and texting our coach and texting me and saying, like, hey, I haven't worn a yarmulke in 20 years, but since you guys have really inspired me to start wearing a yarmulke, or you guys have inspired me to start rapping tefillin every day, or you guys have inspired me. I'm going to go to shul on Yom Kippur, like, or I'm going to go to shul on Shabbat. I'm going to make Shabbat Kiddush, and you start realizing the importance of, like, you know, showing, you know, people you can be proud of who you are and still, like, pursue things and pursue your dreams and not have to sacrifice your religion or anything like that.
But when you were getting those offers, do you guys have, like, conversations about it, about, like, Judaism, like, that you weren't going to play on Shabbat or something like that?
So we talked about it with teams, and so when it came down to it, I narrowed my choices down to the school that I really wanted to go to, because they was West Point. This coach sent me a handwritten letter every week. He came to every one of my games. He was saying, you know, you're going to help be our program. We're going to build a program around you. You know, you're going to be our guy. We see something in you. We want you to be our guy. And, like, a Division I coach is, like, coming up to me and telling me that and writing it to me. And it meant a lot to me. And it made me want to go play at West Point. And so I actually verbally committed there. I was going to go to West Point. But then I woke up one day with, like, a weird, like, I just had a weird stress. Like, I'm like, am I going to be able to, like, keep Shabbat and keep kosher if I go to West Point? Is that doable? And, you know, they all say, yeah, we'll make it work. But they don't understand, like, how much that goes into it. And we didn't really have, like, such a intricate talk about it. So I called up the rabbi, like the Chabad rabbi there, anonymously, and I was like, hey, like, how's the Jewish life on campus, like, am I going to be able to stay religious if I go to West Point, like, flat out? And he goes, look, it's not likely, and if you're playing on the team, it's definitely not going to happen. It's just not going to happen. You know, and that's unfortunate, but that's just the way it is. And I hung up. You know, I said thank you, hung up the phone, and I looked at my dad. I'm like, dude, what am I doing? You know, what am I doing? I've kept Shabbat my whole life. I've kept kosher my whole life. Like, I've gone to Jewish schools my whole life. I'm gonna throw that all away because I want to play Division I basketball. And, you know, at first my parents are like, dude, you put in all this hard work, like sleep on it. Like we've gone to all these AAU tournaments. Like they knew how much work I put into it, and they felt like you could be throwing away your dream. Like this is something you've always dreamed of doing. But then I was like, no, I wanna go a different path. And around that time, I told him I want to go to YU. I want to go to Yeshiva University. Around that time, Coach Elliott Steinmetz was always hitting me up, through my freshman year, sophomore year. Every year was kind of like hitting me up and and recruiting me and saying, look, pursue the D1 thing. See if you can get there. And I think you can. And if you want to do that, that's great. But we're doing something at Yeshiva. We're trying to build a program here where we want to show the world, something that's never been done before, that the Jews can play basketball, like Orthodox Jewish kids can do something. And he goes, throughout the past, like all these kids that were kind of on the fringe of like going D1, maybe go YU, and they're not sure, I want to get all those guys. I want to start getting D1 kids, and I want to turn this into like a D1, D3 program, like a powerhouse D3 program. And I think we could do that, starting with you. And we got Gabe coming, and we got Simcha Halpert here, and we got a bunch of guys here. And, I think we could do that with your class. And I was always intrigued by that. And then, when it came down to the decision, I told him at the Memphis Cooper Invitational.
Yeah.
That's when I actually told him, like, yeah, I want to come to YU. And that was when I kind of made that decision. And he's like, bet, let's make it happen.
Is this senior year?
This was my senior year.
Oh, wow.
So I waited all the way till my senior year when I came down to that decision. It was probably a month prior or a couple weeks prior. I wouldn't say a month, but a couple of weeks prior where I made that decision of, like, I'm not going D1. I'm going to try to go to, Yeshiva.
So what I was interested in is that process. You are playing with all these players that, as you mentioned before, the goal is to go D1. And even today, like, that's what young athletes in America, like, can I go D1? Can I do it? And culturally, how are you able to explain that? Some people that you've played with who are D1, 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 and then Ryan, oh, wow, you got these D1 offers. I'm actually going to go D3. I'm going to play Yeshiva University. Right. How can you begin to explain what that means to the Jewish people, to someone who does not understand that, and their whole life it's been D1?
All of my AAU teammates were like, "What the hell are you thinking, dude? Like you got the dream. You got these D1 offers, and you're gonna go to D3 to the yeshiva. Like what is this school? Like they've never heard of it, and it's like you had all these coaches, you got all these offers. Like go just choose a school that if you didn't want to go here, go to a different school that's D1. But they were like in shock, like you're throwing away your basketball career because it didn't compute with them. It didn't make sense. Like, my AAU coach Rick Ronquillo, lovely guy, and he said to my dad, he's like, he put in all this work. He was successful. He did, like, when he first got to the AAU circuit, he wasn't that good, and he like kept putting in this work and got there. And you're telling me he's gonna not go? Look, I respect your decision, but like that's crazy. But then after our success at Yeshiva, and they saw us, when they saw all the success and the 50-game winning streak, and now teams are coming to my games, and they were like, okay, we get it. That's insane. They're like the biggest compliment. They compliment it, and they love the story the most.
Wow, that's the ultimate trust process moment right there.
Yeah, 100%.
That's 100%. Amazing. So, I mean, obviously, that was kind of what I wondered the most. How was that relationship with other people that you've built this basketball world with, and how maybe they reacted to that? But then I kind of asked this question before. At what point do you think at your YU career did YU realize what they had in you? I know you were heavily recruited, but I asked this question about media training earlier. Like, at what point in your success at YU did they understand what they had going on past just the level of the program? Because you mentioned Elliott Steinmetz had a goal and a dream, and that's how it happened. And things like this do not happen without people like him planning to make it happen in the future. So at what point did you feel that outside of just him and the roster, did the university realize what they had and how powerful the tool that they had could be to impacting Jewish players, Jewish people around the world?
That's a great question. Steinmetz knew all along. In terms of the school, probably not until midway through my sophomore year, where people started coming out, and like the Associated Press wanted to make a documentary about us. Like they wanted to follow us around for the rest of the season, and we started off the year. We lost our first game, but then we won like 12 in a row, and like teams started coming. People started coming out, and people wanted to film us and interview us, and as the win streak kind of went on, it kind of built even more and more and more, and people started packing the gym and coming to games, and our gym is on like 184th Street. By my senior year, there was a game where there was a line 3 hours before the game. I had no idea. I didn't know this was for the game, by the way. So I'm walking in the gym before the game, and I see this massive line. I'm like, is there like a Sparm sale going on? Like, I don't know what's going on, right? And so it was from 184th Street all the way down to 189th.
Wow.
Of people waiting to get into this game. And it was like, I'm walking there. I'm like, what the heck is going on? Like, what are people? Is there like a fight? I really didn't know. And then they're like, yo, let's go, Ryan. I was like, yo, this is crazy. I couldn't even thought like this is going to happen at a D3 school at Yeshiva University. Like, look at all this love and support that we're getting, and look how many people that are like inspired by what we're doing. And it was incredible.
Yeah. I mean, how did you, and this is a question I feel like you've been asked, but just maintaining the focus and locking in, and these players who are coming to play at YU maybe had different expectations and weren't prepared for all this hype. Maybe if you're a guy who's playing on the bench at YU and you're riding the bench, and then you're walking and you see a 5-block line to get into your game. So maybe outside of yourself that was prepared for this moment, how did some of your teammates, and what was it like for them to feel this hype train and to build, and did that affect some of them, and maybe mentally were they prepared for this, and at a point was it too much for any of them, or how did they overcome that and be as successful as you guys were?
Yeah, so that rewinds back to my freshman year. My freshman year, I'm coming into the school. They had won the conference for the first time in school history the year before, and they returned everybody, and then they add me to the team, they add Daniel Tion to the team, they add Eitan Halper to the team. We're looking around like, oh, we're gonna roll through the conference. We're gonna have a really good year. Like, we don't see anybody who's more talented than us. We felt like we were the best team. We're gonna make a run. Like, we're gonna do it. And we start the year 1-5.
Oh wow.
We just get our butts kicked.
You can say that.
Asses kicked, right? Every game, right? We're losing. We're flat out. We're losing at home. We're losing on the road. It was like, what are we doing? What are we like? Why are we losing, right? And then we're like, we're just not focused. We got to focus on every game and act like every game like matters. We were like, oh, we're playing these guys, we're gonna beat them. We're playing these guys, we're gonna beat them. And then we get our ass kicked. And we looked at each other. We're like, all right, we got to start taking it one game at a time and like really focusing on every opponent. Like, we can lose this game. And we went on a 17-game winning streak after starting 1-5 in my freshman year. And then we started talking again, like, oh, we're gonna win the conference. Oh, we're gonna go to the tournament, and oh, we're gonna make a run. Like, we're rolling right now. Nobody can beat us. And then we lose again, and then we go to the conference championship, saying the same thing. We're feeling good. Yeah, we beat these guys a couple times this season. Farmingdale, we're gonna beat them. And we lose, and the season's over. Like, we didn't get in a bid to the NCAA tournament. We're playing a low conference. Like, it was, and it's over. So fast forward to the first game of our sophomore year. We play actually our first game in Los Angeles, and we have 7 guys on the team from LA, and every Jewish school is there. Valley Tor is there, Shalhevet's there, Eula's there, Milken's there, everybody's there, and it's a packed house. And we're hype, and we're like, oh, dude, we're gonna blow these guys. We're playing a bad team, we're gonna blow them out in front of, and we lose our first game. And we have a big argument in the locker room after the game. Like, we suck. We're embarrassing each other. Like, why did you do this? Why did that? And like, guys are kind of pointing fingers at each other. Like, we're like, why didn't we go into the zone? Why didn't we do that? And it really came down to like, we gotta say, cut everything out. We gotta cut all the media. You gotta cut all the fans. Like, it's about us right now. We have to make sure that we're focused as a team and not let everything else outside of the team affect what's going on the court. because that home crowd, like everyone kind of wanted to get their own, and everybody wanted to get buckets and look good in front. We all do. We all want to look good in front of our home fans, and so we decided like we're not caring about anything else other than the team winning. Like that's the only thing. I don't care if I have 2 points. I don't care if I have 0 points. I could have 30 points. 0. We have to win. Like at the end of the day, if you have 30 and lose, nobody cares. But if you win 50 in a row, if you continuously win, everybody's talking about you. It doesn't matter what kind of numbers you put up. So from there on, that's when we went on our 50-game winning streak. Like every game, we're going to win every game. We're going to play every game. Like doesn't matter who we're playing. That's our championship. That's our championship. Who are we playing? Okay, what's his strengths? And we just got on a run and kept winning and winning. And, as you win more, the murmurs start coming, and you just got to block it out, and you just got to keep playing. You do the interview, but then you're back on the court, and once you're in the lines, it's like nothing else matters. So you just got to win the game.
What was Elliot's mentality through that?
I think we kind of learned as we went, because like at first he was like, we're not like, we want to focus on winning. Like, let's not do these media stuff. But then he started realizing the impact that can have on the Jewish community, and not just that, like just the community as a whole, right? And he started realizing the importance of it, like when we started getting these emails and people calling and saying like, my kid's wearing their yarmulke to school now, or like, we went to YU back 30 years ago, and now we're proud to be Jewish again. And so we started doing media stuff, but like his mentality was not just be unselfish, but be selfless, right? Not just, I'm not just, I'm working. It's my job to make sure you get a bucket. It's your job to make sure he gets a bucket. It's his job to make sure I get a bucket. And we're all kind of working for each other. And when you score, I'm happy. And when he scores, you're happy. There was no like competitiveness on the team of like, oh, I need to get my 20. I need to get my, like we had games where Simcha Halpert, he was on track to be the all-time leading scorer at YU. Like he was a bucket getter. And he decided to take a backseat kind of role where it like he allowed me to shoot more shots. He allowed Gabe to shoot more shots. But he had games where he took one shot. He took one shot. He was averaging 18 points a game. He took one shot in a game. And it was like, you look at the stats, he's like, how does Simcha Halpert only take one shot? And he goes, it was working. We were winning. We were up by 30. It was working. I didn't need to shoot that game. And then we'd have games where he would erupt, and he would hit 8 threes and a half, and it'd be like, oh, there he is. Like, and it all depends on how the team was playing against us, and that kind of selfless mentality is kind of what allowed us to have the success that we had.
And do you think that because you guys were all Jewish and like religious, some of you guys, and you guys had a bigger impact and message to the world, it kind of helped you guys play for one another?
Yes, there was that, but also the I would say like Simcha taking one shot in a game was crazy. And then there was a guy on our team, Donnie Katz, starting center, where he legitimately like he could play 35 minutes and have a stat line of two and 1 assist, and he had like the biggest impact of the game because he never missed the box out. He was taking charges. He was getting their shot blockers in foul trouble. He was setting the best screens on the team, and he literally did not care. He couldn't care if he touched the ball. Like, he didn't care. All he cared about was, did we win the game? And that kind of mentality kind of like led us to like if this guy is playing 35 minutes, he's not going to care about it if he touches the ball or gets a rebound. He said to Gabe, I'm going to box everybody out. You just get the rebound. Like, I don't care. You get the rebound. You average 15 rebounds a game. I don't care. I'm going to make sure that guy can't contest your rebound. And that's what he did. And just, I'm going to back screen everybody. Ryan, nobody's going to see me coming. I'm just going to back screen your guy and you're going to get a dunk. Like, that was his mentality. And that kind of led us to, like, we need to be selfless. We need to work for each other and be happy for each other when we succeed.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And then post that, going to Motor City for 2 years and now being in Nestiona, what do you see that differs in the teams?
Well, once you get to professional basketball,
It's
a business. Like everybody's kind of working towards their own goal, and have everybody has like a little bit of selfishness to them, and they want to earn a contract. In the G League, there's an aspect of like if you do well and you get a call up, I'm not getting called up because the team called you up. Now that's one less spot for me. There's an aspect of that. So like you can you see a guy get going and then like he kind of doesn't touch the ball as much as he did when he was going. There's an aspect of that. And then also there's an aspect of like you got to balance that with, okay, but if we're losing every game, nobody's getting called up. So it's like we got to win, but everybody's got to look good. You know what I mean? So it's a tough thing to gauge. And it's definitely different than anything I was used to.
Was it a part of the reason why you left?
No, I got good experience playing in the G League. You're playing against NBA guys every night. Guys get called down to the G League. Guys, you have two-way guys that are in the NBA every night. And I got a lot of really good experience playing against NBA guys and really high-level guys, and it's a different game in terms of talent. Like, and I got a lot of really good, experience playing against these guys. It's bigger, faster, stronger than anything I was used to. You got to get your shot off quicker, but also you got to be uber aggressive when you touch it. Like in the NBA, they kind of play in a way where it's like, if you can kind of shoot it, shoot it. If you can kind of get the shot off, shoot it. Like if you feel like you got to be able to shoot fast. They're not trying to like wait and move it and try to get the best shot and that like get the ball up, shoot it. And that was a culture change because at YU, it was like, I don't care if you're wide open, like there's a better shot. Like so let's find the absolute best shot where we know we're gonna make it. And at YU we shot, like 58% from the field or 55% for the field as a team and 40% from three. We were leading the country in offense because we were just looking for the best shot. And in the G League it was like, you gotta get it up in the first, if you can get it up in the first 8 seconds, great. Like let's do that. And so there was that aspect of it, and you learn how to, set your feet quicker and shoot quicker, and like your hands up, but it's not really up. It's not all the way up, so I can shoot it. Like there was that. So that was definitely a big change for me.
And coming to Nestiona.
So the difference is with like the G League level and playing out here is in the G League, it's way more about like individual success. Here it's like, it's back to like the team's got to succeed. They only care about winning. You can have, 20 points but if you lose, it's like, dude, you were selfish. Like, why didn't you pass the ball? Like, it's like that. You have to win out here. Every game matters. And in the G League, it's like if a guy drops 30, it's like, it's a developmental league. It's a development league. So, they want guys to, try things and but it's really a one-on-one matchup if you're out there. Like it's because if I get beat and a guy goes to the rim and the help comes and then he dishes off to his guy and his guy gets a dunk and it's like, oh, well, you're giving up dunks and on the stat sheet, oh, that guy outplayed you. And it's like, then there's that. So there's a lot less of that. Here it's like, everybody's worried. Like we're trying to win. We got to win. And it doesn't matter what kind of numbers you put up. If you score 4 points, but you were efficient in those 4 points, and you got you tipped the ball 3 times, and you got a bunch of rebounds, and you helped the team win, you're like an impact player. You had a great game. If you had 4 points in the G League and you did those things, it's like, dude, you're a scrub. Like, what are you doing on the court? You know what I mean? Like, you have to go out and perform. You got to go out and get stats. Here, it's like, no, how are you affecting winning?
So would you say it's much more competitive here?
Yes, I would say it's way more about like it's every game matters. Like you got to win every game. You got to try to win every game. And there it's like there's so many games. You could drop a game here. Like what did we learn from this? Here's like no, we're winning. Like you can learn on a win. Like let's like against Herzliya, we blew a 25-point lead and we ended up winning. It was like okay, we learned a lesson there, but we got the win. If we lost that game, that would have been really bad. It would have been really, really bad. So, but we got that lesson. We learned that lesson. So, it's way more like you got to win. And
I'm kind of interested to hear about your 38-point game in the G League.
Yeah. So what had happened is, my second year in the G League, I came into so by the end of my first year of the G League, I earned a spot where I was getting like 15 minutes a game off the bench. I was getting good burn, and I thought the next year that like maybe I can build on that. And we got a new coach, we got a new, and wasn't happening. I got there and I came into training camp, did really well, earned myself an E10. I'm like, wow, I'm gonna play a lot of minutes this year. I'm gonna do well, and turns out I wasn't part of their plans that year. You know what I mean? And I had meetings with the coach. I had meetings with. I wanted to know like what can I do, and he said, look, it's just not part of the program's plans. This is not what we're, you're doing really well, but it's just not part of the plans. Which sucked. So for me, I could do one of two things. One, sulk on the bench, be upset about it, and whatever, collect my paycheck, and then I'll go overseas, whatever. Or I can decide like, I'm going to put as much work in as possible, and hopefully I get an opportunity, and hopefully, I could do well in that opportunity, and I'll be ready for it. So I decided I'm making a mandate. I'm making 363s a day. Like, that's what I'm doing. We can have an off day. We can have a 4-hour practice. We can have a game. I'm coming back to the gym. I'm making 363s.
Why that number?
Because we had a shooting machine, and it did like 20 at a spot. I just did 20 at a spot, and like by the time I got back around a couple of times, it went to 360. That's why I did. It could have been 350, could have been 300, but I wanted to go around a couple of times, and so that's what I did, and I made 363s, and so I was ready for the moment. And I was, and what happened was we had a bunch of call-ups at the end of the year, and then a few injuries. And I think on that team we had 7 guys make the NBA that year. Like we were pretty stacked. We had a lot of good players, but with 7 games to go, the coach the coaches, the assistant coaches. I was really close with one of the assistant coaches. So he goes, "You're gonna get an opportunity these last 7 games. Like you're gonna play. You're like, hey, this guy got called up. That guy got called up. That guy got called up. That guy's hurt. Like you're gonna get a chance to play." I'm like, bet. And the first couple games it was like trying to get back into basketball. like you haven't played all year. It's tough. I did solid, 5 points here, 7 points there, but doing solid. But then last 2 games of the season I said, what, I'm just gonna I put in all this work. I'm going to I'm just gonna be uber aggressive, and I feel in rhythm. I did well in these games. Like I'm gonna just go for it. And the second to last game, I think I had 15 points or 14 points, and I'm like, oh, I'm feeling good. They were both against Toronto's G League team, and then the last game, our point guard got called up. Like Xavier Simpson gets another call up to the NBA. Tough. He's so good, by the way. He's so tough. He's so tough. He's ridiculous. we could talk about him in a second, but he's ridiculous. But he gets called up, and so now there's 6 guys active on our team. It was like
6 guys.
We had 6 guys active for our last game of the season, and it's like, okay, now Ryan, there's no excuses. Like go perform. Like go do it, and like you don't have an excuse. Like you got to go play. Like. You could say, oh, this guy didn't pass me the ball, or I didn't get the minutes, I wasn't in rhythm. Now it's like, no, you got it. This is your opportunity. Like you got to go. Let's see what you can do. And I have the game, and I scored 34 points, and shoot really well from the field. And I remember during the game I was cramping like crazy because this is the most I've played all year. This is the most I've played in a professional basketball game. Like I'm cramping like crazy, but it was. I was able to, do well, and it just felt really good to be able to do that. And if you look at my last, when I played in the last 7 games, I averaged, 14 points a game, off 50% from 2, 45% from 3, and there was like a sense of like I put in all this work. I thought all along that I was like I should have got minutes and I should have played, and that there was a sense of like. I did that and like I accomplished that, and yeah, I should have. That's how I felt. Versus like if I didn't do well, it'd be like maybe these guys were right, or I don't. But there was definitely a sense of accomplishment of I felt like I should have played, and and I was able to seize that opportunity.
It's awesome.
So, at what point in your really professional career, becoming a professional, I would assume that playing here in Israel has kind of always been something that you've been interested in. But was the G League a stop? Did you try to come here right after YU? And what does that process look like? And maybe inking your first contract here at Ness Ciona, and tell us a little bit about the build up to actually making it to play here in their top league.
So, like in high school, I was so driven by like I gotta go play Division I basketball. I wasn't thinking past college, and I didn't know if I was gonna be good enough or big enough. Like I was 6'5". My senior year of high school, I was 6'5", 140, 145 maybe.
Wow.
I was a twig. I was
String bean.
like a strong gust of wind that was flying. Like it was, you know what I mean? I was skinny. So I didn't know if I would have the frame to play professional basketball. I didn't think I would. I didn't know if I can get there. But I love playing basketball. I love working hard. I love, seeing what I can do. Can I, what's my ceiling? Can I reach my ceiling? I'm just going to put the work in that I can to try to get there. By my sophomore year, I was like by the end of my sophomore year, I was 160. I was a first team All-American. Like I had a great year that year. But then, COVID happens and shuts it down. Like shuts down college basketball, shuts everything down. And I had
March Madness.
Shut down or stopped our tournament, mid-tournament, which was heartbreaking.
I was really following along that year.
We were rolling.
Yeah.
All right, move on.
But that's actually those games are actually how I got on like the NBA radar.
Really?
We were the first game of any game played without fans. So every NBA executive was watching that game in our first round of the NCAA tournament. And I have 41 points on 16 shots, 7 of 9 from 3. I'm like, I ball out. And it's like everybody's watching that. And, the next game I have 30-something points and whatever. And I did well again. And my dad, who's close with Kiki Vandeweghe, he played with him in high school. He gets a call from Kiki, who's working with the NBA, and he goes, I don't know if you know this, but it was like 2 weeks later. I don't know if you know this, but every NBA exec was watching that game. Guys are going to start showing up to your practices and games. And he's like, get the F out of here, Kiki. You don't know what you're talking. Like, yeah, you're crazy. He goes, Brad, I'm serious. Like, it's going to happen. Just don't hang up if the Portland Trailblazers or like a team calls you and says like, we want to come to a practice. And sure enough, like the next year, Steinmetz gets a text from like, hey, this is so and so from like the Charlotte Hornets. We want to come to a game. And he's like stop, Ryan. Who's this kid pranking me? Like what's going on? I'm like, no, it's real. Like let him come to the game and whatnot. And then like they started showing up to the games. But for me, I knew that if I wanted to play, then the professional basketball kind of like, oh, this can happen. This can be a thing. I gotta let's try to make this happen.
Junior year?
So that happened my sophomore year. So we had an off season, a really long off season because of COVID.
Right.
And I was like, okay, what's separating me from being a pro? Like, what do I need to do? I'm 160 pounds. I need to put on muscle. I gotta put on weight.
Mm-hmm.
And so COVID, I have this like 8-month period where I'm not in, like I get to go home and I get to eat, and you're not exercising because everybody's at home in a mask, like you're not moving around like that.
You have mama's food too.
I got mama's food, right? And so I got up to 200 pounds when I came back the next season. Now I didn't do it cleanly. I wish I had done it more cleanly, right? But I came back my junior year at 200 pounds, and I was just throwing my shoulder into people. It added a whole different aspect of my game. But then, I was moving a little bit slower on defense, so I was like, okay, I got to shred that down a little bit. And my senior year, I was 190, and that was good, and that's what I am now. That's like my playing weight. I like playing at 190. And so, but I just, I had to put on the weight to be able to like come out and play professional basketball. That's what I had to do.
Totally. So once you got to that point where you're at 190, you're playing at a way that eventually you'll make it to the pro league. So Ness Ciona gets involved at what point in this in this area?
Right. Oh, sorry, I got sidetracked.
We want to hear all the side tracks.
Yeah. So I get invited to the senior combine. It's called the Portsmouth Invitational. It's where all the seniors from college basketball get to go if you get invited, and it's a combine. And I did well in the combine. I did really well, and all NBA teams are there watching you play, and I think five to eight guys from there get invited to the G League combine. And I was one of those guys. Like I did well enough to be one of those guys. I had 25 in one game. I had 20 something in the other game. Like I was doing really well.
How many guys are coming out to that?
Oh, that's a great question. Probably 40 or 50. I'm not 100% sure. Maybe 60. I don't know. I don't know how many guys. But the G League combine gets 40, and the NBA combine gets 60. So if you're in that, you're kind of around the 100 mark in terms of prospects to getting drafted. And so I get invited, and I'm hyped, like, oh, this is great. Like, and my agent's calling me. He's like, yo, this team wants to work you out. This team wants to work you out. I worked out for the Bucks, did really well. They want, they may want to see you again. Like, this is great. Like, they want to see you again. And and the G League Combine called. They want you there. Like, you got one of the invites. You got one. I'm like, no, that's crazy. Like, this is starting to roll in the right direction. Like, you got to keep this momentum going. And the day I was flying out to the G League Combine, I'm gonna work out, and I make a move on a guy and lose him, and I'm going up for a layup. Nobody near me, and I land, and my shoe rips when I land and hit the floor, and it rips not like through the shoe like Zion, but like it ripped a little, and I kind of landed in a weird spot. It hurt, and I tried, running up the court, and I was like, oh no, like that's bad, and it turns out I broke my foot. Oh. And I was out for 5 months. Like it was tough. I remember calling my dad. I was crying. Like that was a tough moment for me. But so I knew at that point I wasn't getting drafted. I wasn't able to work out for NBA teams. I'm not going to the G League Combine. But I did well enough in the Portsmouth Invitational, and to where I had a bunch of teams in the G League still looking at me. And we got a call from the president of the Pistons, Arn Tellem, who said, "Yeah, we like the kid. We wanna give him a shot here in Detroit, and we're gonna help him out with all the Jewish stuff, and we're gonna help figure it out." And I had other teams that was looking at me, but that seemed like the right situation for me. And so, they told me they were gonna draft me in the G League draft, and they did, and the rest is history.
And when you're training, who do you train? Do you train, like, let's say you're training for the Bucks? Do you train with their training staff, or were you training with your trainers?
So you train with their coaches, and they put you through their workout.
Their workout. But I know that you train with Dash Athletics.
Yeah, Dash Athletics. Shout out Dash, aka Jamal Lavelle, but everyone calls him Dash. So I've been training with him since 9th grade.
Oh wow.
I've been training with him since 9th grade. What happened was I was with like a plyometric trainer to try to like help my jumping and whatnot, and he didn't show up one day, and I'm like just shooting around in the gym, and Dash is training somebody on the other side of the court. He goes, "Yo, kid, what are you waiting for?" I'm like, "I'm waiting for my trainer. I don't think he's coming." He's like, "Yo, hop in this workout." And I hopped in this workout, and I leave, and my dad and like I take the bus home, and I tell my dad, I'm like, "Yo, I think I get his number." I'm like, I think I found like a sick trainer. Like this guy put me through the best basketball workout I've been through, and like I need to start training with this guy. Like this guy's real deal. And we've been training together ever since. And he kind of blew up in the last couple of years.
I saw some of those summer runs.
Yeah.
Who are you playing with? Like
Kevin Durant and Trae Young and all these guys. It was nuts. So he's like training. So he got into this gym where he was training guys in front of these NBA guys, and they're watching him train the way he does it. He's very meticulous, and he's breaking down every step of every move, and like he doesn't let you get to the next step if you don't get this step right. Like his attention to detail is crazy. Like if you can't get your foot here while the ball's hanging here, like you're not going to be able to get by the guy in the game. So you can't get to the next step. So let's work on this step before you get to that step. And he's very meticulous like that. And we went through workouts where we're working on literally one step of a move. like full hour workouts where I'm just like learning how to step correctly. And why am I not, on balance when I'm doing it? Why am I not low when I'm doing it? Why is my, hips turned the wrong way when I'm like that meticulous? And NBA players are like watching us do that. And he's like, and then they're like, this is legit. And then they started working out with him, and they realized how good he was. And now he's like training all these guys. He's training Jaylen Brown, who won Finals MVP. Like he's training all these guys. He's got to train Kevin Durant, and I've seen him training Kawhi. Like I've seen him train all these guys, and like all these guys that he's training are all having great years. And it's like it's kind of cool that I kind of got in with him before like he became big, and he definitely like makes sure he's got time for me, like because he gets hit up by NBA guys. He gets hit up all the time. He's a big time trainer, and he's as he should be. He's legit. He knows what he's doing. But he makes sure he has time for me, and then he gets me into these runs with NBA guys.
How are those? Tell us about them.
Great. You get to see like how good these guys are at basketball, and they're just freaking good.
Who'd you guard? Who'd you guard?
I got to guard Trae Young for one of the runs, and I was doing really well. Okay, hold on. I know everybody's seen the clip. If you haven't seen the clip, you'll see it. But I was doing really well to where he kind of turned it on. Like he was kind of going he was going 50%. I was doing well at 50% with Trae Young, and then then he hits me. Then he hits me with he nutmegged me on one of the plays. It's a clip online. And like I cut him off 3 times. I'm like, dude, I'm guarding Trae Young. Like I'm playing really good defense, and then he threw it between my legs and laid it out. I'm pissed off. Hold on, because Chet Holmgren was right there, and he could have sent that to the bleachers, but he just watched him lay the ball up. I was a little hot at that, but that's why that guy's making $200 million. Trae Young's making $200 million playing basketball. And so it's cool to be able to play against those guys and see how I stack up, see if I can help a game, like if I can, my job would be like if I were to make it to the NBA, if it's make those guys' life easier. Like, am I going to be able to shoot at a 40%? If they kick it to me, am I going to be able to hit that 3? Am I going to make their life easier defensively? Can I go guard somebody so they don't have to? You know what I mean? Like that's how it's kind of weird. I wouldn't say there's about 1,000 people, maybe 1,500 people good enough to play in the NBA. There's 350 jobs. You know what I mean? So, if you're not like Luka Doncic, if you're not Trae Young, if you're not Kevin Durant, you got to make those guys' life easier. So there are a lot of guys overseas that are good enough to be in the NBA, but they don't necessarily fit that, like they need the ball to be good, or they don't fit the mold of like making Luka's life easier or making LeBron's life easier. But there are guys in the NBA that do that. You know what I mean? And there's a lot of rules for that. So for me in these like pickup games, it's like, can I make it easier so we win the game? And can I make it, can I hit a shot here or there? Can I make shots? And, you start playing, and you the more you play, the more you get comfortable. The first time you're a little timid, but then the more you play, I've been doing it for like 3 or 4 summers now. Now I'm like comfortable there. And, guys know that I'm going to, play my, I'm going to play as hard as I can. These guys might not be, but I'm going to play as hard as I can. Like, I don't care. So I get to tell people like, I hit a shot against this guy, or I worked, my team won against that guy, or, I was, playing well in these runs against these people. And, I definitely feel like I could play with them. I can play on the same court as them. Now, obviously I'm not as good as Kevin Durant, Trae Young and whatnot, but not ever. I can play with them. I can be on the same court and not look stupid.
And that's sick to be able
right,
to say that.
Right. And so, and if I'm able to like continue to do that and fit a role like that, that's great. And make their life easier, that's great.
You chat with them afterwards?
So the first time I met Kevin Durant, he came up to me actually. So my trainer calls. He's like, "Look, KD, it needs." He wants to play pickup. He needs guys. You want to play? I'm like, yeah. I'll play with KD.
All right.
And so he came up to me and he's like, "Hey, what's good, Ryan?" And like he came up to me. Like he walked up. He said, "What's good, Ryan? Look, I've been following your story at Yeshiva. Like, dude, you're killing it. Like keep working hard. I love what you're doing. You're inspiring your community. Like, keep working hard. You never know where you can get. Like." I'm following you. I like your story. I'm looking up at it. He's 7 feet. I'm like, thanks, KD. Like it was really cool about it.
It was like a my career line.
It was, dude. It was like a my career moment where it's like I've been watching this guy play my entire life, and like you've been playing with him in 2K your whole life. Like it was a little bit of that, but you got to keep it cool because you're on the court. And so I'm playing with him the first time.
Inside, you're going crazy.
I'm like, yo, I'm telling all my boys I'm playing with Kevin Durant. Like, but like the first time I'm playing with him, like I'm on his team. And so he makes a move and kicks it to me. I'm open. And like I pump fake, guy jumps in. I make a really good move. I have a wide open pull up J. I'm like, am I really gonna shoot the ball with the greatest scorer alive on my team? Like what? Like, and so I kick it back to him. And a couple plays happen, and it goes by. And then I get it again. I make a nice move, get all the way to the rim, kick it out to him. And he pulls me over. He's like, yo, shoot the ball. like shoot the ball. And so I was like, all right, bet. So as it went on, I started hitting shots. It was a lot of fun. It was really cool.
That's awesome.
That's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
So just to have that level of experience and maybe playing. So we on this podcast, we really like to talk about the Israeli game, how it translates, how it's different from the guys who played D1 and G League. So with all your amazing experience, like G League specifically, what you talked about, and I know we talked about here competitively, it's so different. But tell us a little bit about the rules changed or here different. Maybe the game's more physical. We speak to great guy like your teammate Itai Segev, who spoke very highly of you. So we watch his game and we analyze it, how it's different from G League, NBA. So tell us about your experience playing just rule-wise here in the Winter League, and what's that like?
It's way more physical. Way more physical. You can get away with bumping, hand checks, like moving screens a little bit. You can hit guys low key here. It's a very physical game. In the G League, if you touch a guy like with your hand, like touch and get out, like they can call that, and they may call that. If you touch a guy driving, if you have your hand on your that's a foul, and you have to chest everything. Here you can kind of get away with like a little shove, a little push, and stick your leg out a little bit on a screen, or like hold them a little bit on a screen. They let you play a little bit more here. So in the G League, you have to be like so good at moving your feet. So like I had to be like even lighter than I am now, and like I had to be like 185 to be able to like move with these quick guards. Like try to stay in front of Sharif Cooper, without being able to. You can't touch him. Like you're not allowed to touch him, and you got to stay in front of him. And he's calling screen, and he wants you on him. Like you got to guard him one-on-one, and you can't touch him. So there's that. And like here, it's like no, you're trying to go on me. I'm gonna bump you out of your spot. I'm gonna try to be physical with you. So there's definitely a more physical game.
What do you prefer?
Offensively, the G League. Defensively, here. Right. You know what I mean? Like offensively, you can't touch me. So I have so much.
But overall,
I'm really liking the way this game is played out here. I'm enjoying it. I think there's give and take. At the end of the day, I'm playing basketball.
Right.
It's the same game. You know what I mean? It's just a little bit different. I would say the consistency. I'd say the consistency of reffing in the G League is more consistent because they're watching film every day and holding each other accountable. Like they're trying.
Oh my God, the refs here.
they're trying to be NBA refs. Right? So they're watching their own film and saying, why did I make that call? Why is that? Why is this that? And they have a committee making sure they're making the right calls. And so in the G League, if I do this, that's getting called. Like I know that. Here it's like, maybe it's a call, maybe it's not a call. Like maybe he's moving on the screen, maybe he's not. It's just not how I want to call it this game. It's like,
what are those conversations like with the refs?
So I had a conversation with a ref this past game, and they refed a good game. I'm not hating on them at all. But this guy kept moving on his screens. He kind of slid his foot on the screen. I'm trying to get over. I'm like, I say to him like, I know you see it. You're right there. Like why is that not an offensive foul? He goes, if I called all those. There would be no game right now. So I'm like, all right, you're right. So all right, cool. That's how we're playing. All right, bet. But I knew like that. Okay, that's how he calls it. But like some games, they're gonna call every offensive foul on the screen. You have to be really tight. So it switches up.
How does the coach you differently then? Because
getting
getting around screens or playing
get over.
defensively.
It really depends on who you're guarding. If you're guarding a shooter, you want to get over. If you're guarding a non-shooter, you want to get under.
Right.
You know, but you got to be physical. You're either the hammer or you're the nail, and that's universal in basketball. Like you got to bump guys off screens. You gotta be. Basketball's a physical game. Now in the G League, it's a different type of physicality. Like, you got to be able to, like, if you're guarding someone, you can't use your hand, but you can use your chest. So I can bump somebody hard with my chest, right? And he can bump me with his shoulder. So it's when people say like the NBA is soft now, it's like it's not soft. It's just there's a different physicality to it. Like there's different rules where you got to be able to be good at certain things that you didn't necessarily have to be good at before. You know what I mean? Like you can't use your hand, but you can bump somebody with your chest. You can and stuff like that. So it's a very physical game, and you got to love contact.
Right. I kind of want to ask you like two questions outside of maybe the direct basketball play. So you coming here, what does the future look like for you? What are your goals here to play in Israel? Is there a specific drive? Like maybe you want to play for a Maccabi or a team that will like play in bigger tournaments?
Yeah.
What's that kind of like for you? And what does the timeline look like? Or are you just playing and see where it takes you? And that's always a good recipe for success.
So that's what I'm doing.
Right.
It's the same recipe that I've done since I was 5. It's the same recipe I did in high school and college. I didn't know where basketball was going to take me. But what I'm going to do is going to put as much work as I can to try to, achieve my ceiling as a basketball player and see where basketball can take me. I don't know where that is, but I know I'm going to put in the work to try to get there, wherever that is. So.
Absolutely. And then if you had one piece of advice for younger Ryan who's like about to start playing at YU and is about to start this incredible journey that would inspire so many people, what would you tell him?
Enjoy it. Enjoy the moment. Like you're going to, embrace it and enjoy it. Really focus on one game at a time because we started off pretty bad, so
right.
We could have started off better. But we learned from that, we got better. So I don't know.
All right, so we're gonna wrap up. We before Nestiona did it, we started this shot clock segment.
Okay.
So we put like 24 seconds on the clock, and we're just gonna ask you like rapid fire questions.
Let's do it.
So we know Nestion is following our content when
Yeah.
we see that
There you go.
their Instagram is popping off.
Yeah. All right. So I'm just gonna put a little timer right here. It's like one word answers, whatever you want. You want to start?
All right, I'll start. You ready?
Yeah. Let's do it.
LA kosher restaurants or New York kosher restaurants?
Wait,
gotta be quick.
New York.
Favorite basketball player growing up?
Kobe Bryant.
Favorite basketball movie?
Space Jam.
Favorite sneaker?
Kobe's.
Gefilte fish, yes or no?
Heck no.
First thing you do after a big win?
Go home and get a good night's rest.
Favorite music to listen to before a game?
I like to listen to old school rap.
Thanksgiving or Shabbos?
Shabbat, bro. Come on.
You can't ask that question. You have to have the card.
It's all skewed right there.
All right, that's it. That was good. That was good.
You set him up with the last question.
Yeah.
I don't know if Ryan could sit here and be like, Thanksgiving's actually pretty good. Dude,
Exactly.
we just want to say thank you so much for coming
Yeah, this
on.
is awesome.
Appreciate
I
you
think we
guys.
could have went on for like another hour.
I actually think so too. It was incredible. Maybe we can have you on again after the season. But
Sure.
we're wishing so much success for Nestiona with you and Itai and like everyone. We're getting to know people in this Winter League scene right now. It's so exciting. We feel like the game is growing, and for us, just getting into it more has been awesome. So thank you, and you're an
Thanks,
inspiration for people trying to do what you did. And so thank you again, and it was just a great time.
Thank you guys. Appreciate you guys having me. It was a lot of fun.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Awesome.
All right.
Dude, you're a beast.
All right, brother.
Mashiach now.
Let's
There
take
you
a
go.
little picture.
Let's do it.
I actually have a hat for you.
Wow.
My roommate makes these hats.